Oh, hello, everybody. Welcome to the Sunday service. Drew is thrown off there, you see, because he's always waiting for the technical glitch. And anyway.
Fair point.
Fair point, absolutely.
Fair point. I'm like, we're starting. I've got another 10 seconds yet before we sort it out. So,
yep. Anyway, anyway, welcome to the Sunday service with the bald one and the hairy one. I think it's the best way of distilling this down to So, Drew, how you doing? How you doing, eh?
Yeah, all right. I've got a week off work now. Yay. Off up to that there Glasgow this week.
Oh, you're off to see a band with Agent Fleming, aren't you?
I am. We're off to bang our heads on Wednesday evening to the gentle strains of Testament, Creator, and Anthrax. So,
ooh.
I can't wait.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I'm doing a long drive on Wednesday. I'm going to leave very, very early in the morning and drive up to Glasgow.
Why not fly?
Because I did have a ticket to fly, and I was flying up at 1 o'clock on Wednesday afternoon, and then EasyJet changed the time on me to 7:30 in the evening. Which
time the gig would have started.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I looked around and went, do you know what? It's easy enough to drive. I'll just drive up, and then I've got a couple of days on the banks of Loch Lomond afterwards in a lodge. So,
how exciting!
Making the most of it. So that's my plans for the week. So,
can you do me a favour when you're up there?
Oh, what?
Okay, can you bring me back just a teeny weeny little tiny thing of scotch? You know, the little teeny weeny ones, just a little one.
If I remember, yeah.
Yeah, I will remind you. So, so there we go. Right, so Telford, Drew, Telford. This was your first Telford in 5 years, wasn't it?
5 years, yeah. 2019 was the last one I went to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was. Felt good. Felt nice to be back. It was back to. Felt like more or less what it was in 2019 to me.
Mm-hmm. I say you came up as per the norm on the Thursday afternoon / evening, where we had a curry, a couple of beers, because we're now in our mid to late 50s. We only do a couple of beers, don't we?
Yeah, that's plenty for me these days. It's like 2 or 3 is like, no, I'm all done. We had a few more over the weekend, I have to say, but
But we watched the film on Thursday night. It was Richard Burton, The Medusa Touch.
No, that wasn't this time.
Wasn't it?
That was last time. We didn't end up watching a film.
Didn't we?
No.
Goodness me.
No.
I was absolutely convinced we watched The Medusa Touch on...
That was last time I was up, John.
Good Lord. It's almost like I've got memory problems.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a shame. I had a whole routine worked out about The Medusa Touch, but never mind. Never mind.
I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad tidings, but no, that was... it was Jeff Baker's right. It was supposed to be Silent Running. I just assumed that John would have a DVD of such an incredibly famous and important film, and he didn't, and I couldn't find mine in time. I honestly just assumed we'll watch Silent Running because John's got Silent Running. Of course he's got. Why wouldn't he have Silent Running? Why wouldn't
I'm being Trumbull shamed here because I haven't got Silent Running. I will be getting it on. We'll be getting it on.
No, is it a genuine shock? I just kind of like. Why? How have you not got Silent Running?
I'll tell you what I did find when I was having a...
Don't change the subject.
I'm trying to change the subject. When I was trying to find my Box of Delights DVD the other day, I did find I've got the Blu-ray of Soylent Green.
Good film.
Good film. Very good film.
Good film.
So,
Made of humans, you know. It's made of people.
Spoilers.
Yeah, spoiler. Made of people.
Right. Mike Reeves. Hello, Michael. He says, guess the two drinks go to John. Got to John. They did. One drink is enough to get to me these days. Anyway, right, Drew, shall we crack on? Because here we are, setting out on the Friday morning with big smiles on our faces, because we were back, baby, weren't we?
We were back. The band's back together, innit?
The band was back together. Talking of bands, Rock to Telford playlist. It kicks off with, as always, We Will Rock You. And as per your orders, we were back to the original version and not the alternate version from News of the World, followed by The Boys Are Back in Town. And if anybody doesn't know, this is our personal kind of like, it's our personal theme, isn't it? Whenever we go out. Yeah. The Boys Are Back in Town. And yeah, we then were heading up the M5 to the accompaniment of, goodness me, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Kiss, yes, Boston. Oh, I love that playlist. He said, Cardiacs, yes, we do have Cardiacs on it these days. So we got off the M5, then we headed to our favourite place, which the last time we went up to Telford wasn't open on the Saturday morning, was it? Friday morning, yeah.
No, they changed it and said they were only opening like 2 days a week from then on, and we ended up having breakfast somewhere else, I remember, which was okay, but it just didn't feel the same, did it?
So this is for those who don't know, this is the fishing lake at Hartlebury, which is we discovered that, goodness me, that's going back about 12 years ago, wasn't it? Because our beloved little chef had been closed down, and and so we had to find somewhere else. And
because it was literally we drove on over the roundabout over, and I went slammed on the brakes, and I'm right. I went, it says there's a cafe down there. Let's go and check it out.
Yeah. I think it's the Moorlands fishing lake. I'm just checking here. Yeah, Moorlands Fisheries, Moorlands Lake, on the outskirts of Hartlebury. So we went in there, Drew. Of course we went there. Oh my goodness me, it's had a bit of a refresh, hasn't it?
A makeover, hasn't it? It's had a complete makeover. Bear in mind, 5-6 years ago, this was literally lino greasy spoon type stuff.
Yep.
It was no worse for it,
yep.
But it's had a significant makeover, hasn't it?
I love it. I loved it in there. It had a fabulous.
Although it did make me chuckle that when you look back to the kitchen was exactly the same.
Yes, because all they've done is they put that counter in, but everything down the far end there is exactly the same. So yeah, so it's a little bit of kind of like set dressing, I think is the best way of putting it. We ordered our breakfasts, and oh, look at this happy chappy here with his breakfast. Oh, you look like the cat that's got the cream there, Drew.
Well, it was a Telford breakfast, wasn't it? And it was absolutely glorious. It was really, really well done, properly cooked.
Mm-hmm.
Plenty of it, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely hit the spot on a Friday morning.
It was quite chilly as well, wasn't it?
Sorry?
It was quite chilly as well because we're used to it being. I think we're used to it being a little bit more balmy down in the southwest. So the moment you start getting up to the Midlands and you're losing that warming influence of the Bristol Channel, the temperature can suddenly dip a bit. But yeah, there we go. That was your breakfast. That's mine. That was mine. Now mine was obviously it was a vegetarian option. Although for a change, I don't eat bread at home, but I did polish off almost all the toast. So thank you for that, Drew. And there we go. Two very happy, fed men in their mid to late 50s.
I look quite smug there, don't I?
You do. You look like you've got that kind of I just had a lovely breakfast look on your face.
Well-fed smug look.
It was that, yeah, but that was a cracking breakfast, though, wasn't it? It almost makes me think we've got to try and come up with an excuse to kind of go back up there about the halfway point of a year so that we can have another breakfast because we used to when there was the Cosford Model Show.
Yeah, it's such a shame, isn't it?
Well, perhaps we can engineer a mid-year visit to this place, which is obviously RAF Cosford, which again we'd not been to in 5 years.
No.
Yeah,
it left me with kind of mixed feelings, if I'm honest, this year.
Because of the changes to some of the layouts.
Yeah, because of the changes, some of the layouts, the reasons for some of the changes don't really add up as far as I'm concerned. Museums these days seem to be less about museums and more about how they can do anything to bring in corporate sponsorships and stuff like that. I kind of get it, but at the same time, seeing aircraft that used to be in the testing hall dumped out the back unceremoniously, and other stuff that isn't on display anymore that's really, really important, like the Bristol 188 and things like that. It just really it left quite a sour taste in my mouth, and sort of going into the other sort of hall and finding some quite important aircraft just missing, the Pucara gone and stuff like that, and that Tempest just literally shoved underneath the rear of the Lincoln, like completely it was still good. The majority of it was still good, but some of the changes sort of grate a little bit, shall we say, and don't look like they've been very very well handled or thought out.
I think perhaps one of the most controversial changes, which some of our viewers will have been, when I say involved, would have been witness to, is they got rid of the model room, the room that had all the model displays and the dioramas of the airbase and everything, and it's all gone. And from what we could tell, the room was still empty.
Yeah, the room was absolutely empty, wasn't it? It was like an echo chamber. It was just an echo in there. It was just like, really, it just felt. A lot of the changes feel spectacularly graceless.
Mm-hmm.
Is that fair?
Mm-hmm. Agent Fleming, your host for this week, says Royal Air Force Museum's policy is to tell the story of the RAF's people. The aircraft are incidental to that.
I could swear, but I won't. But no, the RAF Museum's policy should be to tell the story of the RAF, and the aircraft and people are central to that.
Mm-hmm. And Anne-Marie Ryle Gould, who we had the pleasure of meeting at the show, she says Bristol Channel and warming influences are not usually statements which go together. Believe it or not, actually, Anne-Marie, it is. I don't.
They don't until you get why that statement's made.
Yep. And John Huston says the boys are back in town waiting for a jailbreak, having some whiskey in the jar with Rosalie, waiting for an alibi. I don't believe a word, but I'm still in love with you. Thank you, John.
I'm still in love with you, Sarah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Russell who said no Rush? It's like, oh no, there was Rush.
Oh God, there was Rush. Yes.
We don't mention it because it's like, yeah.
Oh God, there was right. That's just Queen, Thin Lizzy, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Kiss, Robert Palmer, 2 Palmers. Isn't that weird? Robert Palmer, UFO, White Snake, Muse, Cardiacs, Marillion, Rush, Iron Maiden, The Who. Oh gosh, I'll put up a proper thing of the playlist. In fact, the playlist this year was so epic, we were still playing the tail end of it on the return home.
Yeah.
There
was no Tool, Richard, because John doesn't do Tool. So
okay, well, I'll put some Tool in next year.
No, don't bother me, John. It's just I know you don't like Tool would be for me.
Yeah, I'll do it for you, love. Don't worry. Well, I'll sort something out. Well, I will. Ready for this? I will retool the playlist.
Yeah.
See, right? We got so anyway. Friday night. We also, while we're at Cosford, we did meet up with Mr. Pollard, and we had a nice cup of tea there and a good chat. And that was the first time the three of us had been together in one place, actually in real life, since it was since the Blitz tea room in Weston-super-Mare.
No, I think we have been all together in Jadlam since then. Like last year, the year before last.
Yeah, I think you're right, actually. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, memory loss there. But yeah, so it was nice. It was nice. The boys literally were back in town. So anyway, Friday night, you came to us because we were staying at the Travel Lodge place on the outskirts of Newport, walking distance from Spence's place, which is what I liked about it. And we guests of the hobby company. So we'll say a big thank you to Andy Farmer. And
yes, very much indeed. Yes, it was.
Yeah.
It made for a very convivial weekend.
It certainly did, and so we had a good night's yak on Friday, and then we're all to bed, and then straight to the hall on the Saturday morning, and well, there you go. There is model repair work in action. It's such a hazardous.
And it wasn't posed. That was actually Spencer and I repairing a model.
Yeah, it's such a hazardous task that Spence has to wear a safety vest. But no, this was one of the. It was one of the F-35s that had been sent from outside, and I think the best way of describing it was packaged with fresh air, wasn't it, Drew?
Yeah, it wasn't. Considering it came from abroad, it wasn't particularly impressively packaged, was it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Thus, the major repair job of putting it basically back together.
Yes. And with my super glue and accelerator, he said modestly. So, right, shall we get on with the big news of the weekend? And the big news of the weekend was one from the home team,
Lysander.
Mm-hmm. Which should be this should be particularly welcomed by us, being a West Country aeroplane, isn't it, mate?
Well, you still work in a factory, don't I?
You do. You works where they made them things. So yes, a Lysander has been long overdue, because prior to this kit, the only alternatives would have been the old Hawk 48 scale kit, which was reissued by Italeri, and I do believe there was one. Was it Gavia did one in 48?
I'm trying to think, because there's been a 72nd one as well, hasn't there? Was Dora Wings?
Dora Wings, yeah.
In 48. I think there's been another in 48, but I would be lying if I said my memory was serving me there.
No, I'm just going to look that up actually. Edward. Right, Edward did release one, but it wasn't their tooling, and it was a rebox of Gavia. Gavia. And that was from the year 2001, which still to me sounds like the relative recent past, but it's in fact.
It still sounds like last year.
It does still feel like last year. Yeah. So to have a state-of-the-art one from Airfix, and we'll just go through some of the pics here. So there's Adam's beautiful box art, and there were a couple of made-up models on the display stand. So you get, you can either make it as a Mark 1 or a Mark 3. The alternate parts, as you can see from that one, is the uncovered undercarriage spats with the bomb rack carrier, as per the box art. and that's a Polish one. And then there's that one, which is in like phony war colours, without shock horror, without any roundels on the upper wing, and there they are displayed together. Of course, the $64,000 question people will be asking is, what's the fabric ribbing like? And well, there's your answer. I think anybody who's built the Bulldog will know what to expect.
I think the whole thing just looked really, really, really nice. It just, it's a top tier Airfix release, isn't it? I have a vested interest in the type, as I still work for the company, so I look forward to it. The only question I had was the outboard slats, but I'm sure they had their reasons for not. It seems odd to have done the inboard slats as separate parts and the outboard slats not. Although they had different modes of operation, which could account, you could quite often see the outboard slats in the up position and the inboard slats down. So it's not like it's prototypically wrong. It just seems like an odd little choice. But such is life. That aside, it looks like a super little model, doesn't it?
I tell you what, some beautifully made models on the Airfix stand. None of them by us, I hasten to add. So
no, we're not part of that anymore.
Well, yeah,
cast aside.
Just to say that no, these are absolutely beautiful models. I will ask Matt. Because Matt Whiting is now head of R&D at Hornby, now that Airfix rather, now that Martin Ridge has retired. So I'll ask Matt who's building these, because these are absolutely. I just love the little kind of like painted panels on that one. It's nice, like it very, very much. So meanwhile, elsewhere, here are two eager young lads beavering away for the weekend.
They're behind us somewhere.
You are, sorry?
They're behind us then.
Yeah, they're behind us. So I was building the new Tamiya Panzer One Aus B rather, and you were building the new Tamiya 48 scale F-35C.
Yes.
You want to elaborate on that a bit?
Well, no, don't you say that and then you got to stop, and it's like you can carry on talking as well.
Go on.
Well, there's not much to say, is there? It's typically Tamiya so far. It's just everything just clicks together. It's it's absolutely flawless. There's nothing, it's like depressingly free of critical comment. It's stunning. It's just absolute pinnacle of modern kit tooling, isn't it?
For me, it's the. I've always been a bit lukewarm about the F-35, but ever since I built the Italeri kit 4 years ago, I've kind of warmed to it. So this, I've built two of the Tamiya ones, the 72nd scale Tamiya ones, one in its raw state so that it could go off to the hobby company as a display / sales aid, and actually one that I've now painted and deckled. And that's the Italian one from the new kit. I've got to say, it's an aircraft type I have warmed to. I think there's bits about it. I still obviously miss the Harrier, but but the F-35C. With that honking great big wing and with the wing folds and everything, that's the one that really, that really does interest me. I just think it's a visually very interesting aeroplane, and some
fabulously interesting weathering patterns.
Yep, and some colourful colour schemes on it as well, colours and markings on it.
Yeah. Even some full colour stars and bars on some of them.
Mm-hmm. I don't suppose you've got your F-35 set up there on your workbench, have you?
No, I haven't. It's in the other.
No.
To be honest, I haven't really unpacked it since I got back from Telford, because Andy said there's no rush for it, so I'm planning on doing it sort of over the Christmas period. and sort of getting it done over Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a couple of projects I need to get on with once I've got my actual modelling enthusiasm back.
I was going to say, because on the Sunday, I started flagging, and I started to come down with a bug, and it was not fun. And I know, unfortunately, I probably gave you the cold.
No, I seem to have got away pretty much. I mean, I felt a little bit under the weather last weekend, but I don't think it was related to, that's why I wasn't on last weekend. I was feeling a bit tired but I think that was just generally just feeling a bit tired. Okay. I seem to have been the one who, of the last 2 model shows I've gone to, I've caught COVID both times. So I went to this one thinking, well, I might as well book a week off work already, sick, because I'm going to have COVID. And I appear to have pretty much escaped this time. So, no, I was, I've been lucky.
I'm delighted to say that, having periodically tested myself over the last 10 days, it has just been a regular old cold. So, thank goodness for the COVID vaccinations.
Yes, you do, Dave. I don't know anyone who went to scale model wheels and didn't get a cold or something. Yes, you do. Me, I've just told you.
Mike
Williams surprised me as well.
Mike Williams being a little bit mischievous, who says, typically Tamiya, this is the F-35, just don't mention the decals.
Oh, Mike, don't be facetious.
Yes. And yeah, here we go. Drewe was defender of the F-35.
It kind of defeats me that we still need to defend it, but unfortunately we do.
Like I say, it's always been an aeroplane that I have been utterly ambivalent towards, but having now built 3, I'm warm to it. I'm utterly charmed by it. So
my argument starts and stops with, at the moment, if you're in the market for a new fighter aircraft, you're sufficiently friendly with America and you trust America and you can afford it, I don't know why you'd buy anything other than the F-35. Simple as that. There's nothing else on the market that comes close. And I include the Euro canards among that. I would pick the F-35 over any of those. Were I able to? Were I the one with the purse strings and the decisions?
Yep. So there's my 72nd scale Tamiya F-35B in the Italian scheme. But there also a shout out to our friend Tim Maunder, who also contributed some F-35s to the display. But Tim has this knack of being able to do these kind of exploded view assembly models, which he always accompanies then with these custom 3D printed, these custom laser printed stands as well. So it kind of like it's like I say, it's like being able to look at the model as it's under construction in 3D. So absolutely brilliant stuff from Tim. I don't think you or I would have the I think you or I, Drew, we'd just be we get so far and then we'd be like, yeah, we want to finish it off and paint it.
Yeah, I'd lose interest in that and just want to build the model.
Yeah. And oh look, there are our respective F-35s. Yours in the RAF scheme, or British scheme, I should say, and mine in the Italian one. So 2 interesting interpretations there of the Hab glass as well. I think mine was a jar of AK real colour, but both in the ballpark because they've both got that slightly metallic sheen, haven't they?
Yeah. I mean, mine's the mixes from the kit. So yeah, I'll just use the straight mixes from the kit, which are close enough with a bit of metal in them. To,
oh, hello, compressor.
So yeah,
my compressor's just woken up. And there we are again, beavering away on the Saturday. So end of Saturday, it was time for us to come and visit you in Newport. because you were staying with Spence, weren't you?
I stayed with the Pollard residents over the weekend. They very graciously offered me the spare room, which was fantastic, by the way. Super comfortable, and had a really nice weekend there.
Newport's lovely, isn't it?
So it's a proper little market town, isn't it? It's like it's got that proper little feeling about it that feels like is disappearing. Because it was fairly jumping as well. When we went out on a Saturday night, it was pretty busy in town, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was pretty busy in town. It was really impressive. And a pretty little town as well. So
yeah, no, I was utterly sold by Newport. I mean, to be honest with you, I'm just thinking actually that's the second Newport I've been to in the last 12 months, because obviously I've been to the one just across the water from us, which has its charms. Also has the magnificent transporter bridge there, which we will have to do at some stage. I think it's properly reopening next year, so I think we've got to have a trip to Newport. I'm just going to. You what? Sorry.
To the transporter bridge.
Yeah, transporter bridge. I'm just going to have a quick run through the hellos to everybody here. So a big hello to, I've got the wrong glasses on, Peter Oxley, Theron Hampton, Nick Brown, Dougal McWoogle, who we met at the show.
Yes, we did. We did
meet him. He gave us some goodies, which we'll show you a bit later on. Dave Swindle, Russell Taylor. Russell says hello from a slightly soggy Connecticut. Can't be any more soggy than England at the moment, or Britain rather.
Grim, isn't it?
It's what's it? What's the thing? Your people say dreek, isn't it? It's a dreek cold day. Yeah.
Dreek.
Oh. Kitchen Table Modeler says good evening all. Lee Suter, Alan Richardson, Anne-Marie Ryle Gould, Agent Fleming, Jim Altergott, Christopher Joseph Buchholz, who we're hoping to have on the show for one of our upcoming Yuletide specials. Richard W.L., Philip Jones, Stephen Pryor, Andy King, Ophir Cohen, Hobby Time, Greg Woodbridge, Rory's modelling page, neighbour viewer Jared, who lives just over the hill there, Phil, who doesn't, Simon James Colley, Mike Reeves, he lives right over there, over the horizon, Jeff Baker, Mike Williams, Kev Tinker, God, I'm going to have to go and get a drink in a minute, On Plastic Wheels, which is Mr. Ian Hartup, Dave Fredrickson, Simon Lewis, scrolls down, which we'll come to in a minute, Michael Scott, Jerry Doyle, hello Jerry, Shane Weir, good day Shane. Yep, let's jump on to the next bit. Hello everybody.
Mr. Sutherland checking in.
Oh, is Mr. Sutherland checked in?
Mr. Sutherland checking in.
Right.
Our own Mr. Hartup checking in.
Because Mr. Sutherland was at the show.
Yeah, it was an absolute delight to see you, Roy, after such a long layoff. You looked in fine fettle, I have to say.
Yep. It was my regret was that I just didn't schedule enough time to go walkabout at the show because of being busy with the old modelling demos. But yeah, Saturday night. So we ended up a walkabout in Newport. Wasn't that where we went to for drinks first of all?
Yes.
Yes, it was.
Then you in. That's literally like 200 yards from Spencer's house.
Yep. Then we ended up there where we had curry. I had an absolutely gorgeous vegetarian curry, which was I could go for that tonight, mate.
I can say with my hand on my heart, I have never had a better curry in my life.
Yeah, it was
spectacular.
It was very, very nice. And then when we finished, we all alighted back to that place for snifters. And I do declare you bought us all a round of Bailey's Irish Cream, didn't you?
Well, it's what people wanted. So apart from Spence and I.
What did you have?
We had Jameson's with a Di Serrano in it.
Any posh Mr. Orne.
Which is fabulous, and what people can see me drinking this evening, in point of fact. Yeah. You're very good health, all.
Yeah, slange me var. I will slange you with some Lemsip. So
I did wonder what that was. Yeah, it was that Saturday evening was a vintage evening, wasn't it? It was absolutely fantastic and such a good time. Really one of those ones where I got back and I'm lying in bed and I'm smiling to myself, thinking that was an evening that was utterly worth waiting for. What a great time!
You just
we all had a few wets as well, didn't we? We were all a little bit giggly on the way back. We'd all had a few beers and stuff.
Yeah, but I think I'd only had 2 beers on the way back. That evening, plus the Bailey's Irish Cream as well.
I think I'd had about 5. So which is plenty for me these days.
Yeah.
It was what a night that Saturday night was.
I think that's the template really for future Telfords, isn't it?
Yeah. As long as Mr. Pollard has that bedroom available, yeah. Yeah, no, I had a genuinely great night.
Yeah. So Sunday, goodness me, this is the thing, Drew. Is I know I'm always that little kind of like I'm always that ball of anxiety sat next to you as we're heading up the M5, because I'm thinking to myself, how am I gonna kind of like survive the next kind of like 3 days or the next 2 and a bit days, because I genuinely find it hard to to be in these situations sometimes. Having said that, obviously my month's vacation with the NHS last year, to some extent, kind of like weaned me off that anxiety. But again, we're heading up the M5 and I'm still getting that little kind of like,
I think ultimately, John, I have to, the one thing that I noticed this weekend is that you stay behind the table a lot because that's a safe space for you and you're happy talking over the table to people all weekend. And I think a lot of it, that's why you don't really wander that much, while you're because that actually gives you a safe space for, because, there's no secret of the fact that you have anxiety.
Oh, God,
you know that, everybody knows that. And we kind of, deal with it in that. But that always feels to me like that's your safe space behind that table. So you're happy to be there all weekend.
Yeah. Having said that, though, the thing about, again, having that kind of like those little knots of anxiety of kind of like, how am I going to, oh God, it's going to be 2.5 days. How am I going to cope with that? And then before you know it, we're packing up to come home.
And before you know it, we're in the car on the way home.
And
it's passed again. And we're wondering how good it's going to be next year. Because I said it to you on the way back. I said it was absolutely brilliant. I had the best time.
Yeah.
My not anxiety as such, but my worry was I just wasn't going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because I haven't been for so long, and it's and it changed. My anxiety was that it was going to feel like something whose time for me had passed.
I know what you mean, because it would have felt like you were going there out of a sense of not sense of duty, but a sense of obligation, rather than wanting to go there.
There was that, and I was genuinely worried that I was going to get there and I was going to come back and I was going to say, that's it for me, I'm not going again. And because that option would have been on the table if I genuinely hadn't enjoyed it. But I think you'll have seen me all weekend, and I was never less than having a great time.
You were a happy laddie.
I managed to sneak away with Nigel for a quick beer at one point, which nobody, barely noticed. And so everything I wanted to do, I did, and I just had the most fabulous weekend. And I have to say, the just something I suspect we're going to discuss is the sheer volume of people who came up to introduce themselves to us, and made us feel like this little corner of the internet is worth our time on a Sunday evening.
Absolutely. There we go. That previously on the Interesting Modelling Company, that was my Tamiya motorbike set with the figures. I still suck at painting figures, but I'm kind of like, every time I finish a set of figures, there's always something about them. I think, right, next time I'm going to do that slightly differently. But having looked at the photographs tonight, I thought, I don't know what it was about them I didn't like. So there we go. And there we are, beavering away on the Sunday. And good Lord,
Is that for Jennifer Wright?
Jennifer. It was good to see Jennifer there.
Yeah, Jennifer visited briefly.
Yeah.
Picked up a bunch of stuff from us, and it was Jennifer was still quite fragile, but she was she seemed happy, and it's always good to see Jen.
Yep, absolutely.
Always great to see Jen.
Absolutely. Right. But we're not finished with F-35s, Drew, because over on the Revell stand, with their new head of research and development, a gentleman by the name of Mr. Luke Slaney Hewitt, formerly of the Hornby parish, they had on display their 72nd scale F-35A. Now, people will be saying, but surely Tamiya have sewn up the market with this. Well, you can't, you're a bit like saying, well, so-and-so's done a Spitfire kit, nobody else should bother. Everybody wants a slice of that pie. This does look quite spectacular, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, cards on the table. I've been speaking to Luke, and Luke has sent me a set of test shots that I've got here that I've been building over the last week just to report back to him on. And I don't think people overall are going to be disappointed. It's a very, very nice model in it. And I've been able to go back and give some suggestions on things that I think need to change between now and release. But for the most part, it builds really, really nicely. The level of detail is very, very nice indeed. And there's still some refinement to be done. So I think it will be, I think it will be a worthy addition to the F-35 scene.
I like the way they've done the RAM on that, because I'm thinking of the Italeri kit, which I liked, despite the fact the RAM on it was a bit agricultural. But Tamiya, how Tamiya have done it is absolutely beautiful. But I'm actually really liking what Revell have done here as well.
It's actually it's very nice on actually in the flesh on the model. It is really, really nice. And I don't think it looks, it's not as refined as Tamiya. Nothing is, but it's nowhere near as clumsy, essentially, as just about everybody else's. So I like it. I'm really suitably impressed. I think that we have to bear in mind that the market that it's aimed at, where it's going to be sold, which is going to be literally everywhere.
Yep.
I'm suitably impressed. Luke's asked me not to share my build at this point, so obviously we're happy to do that. But I think Luke will be happy for me to say that it's very, very nice, and I'm very, very thankful that he trusted me enough to allow me to be a part of that, albeit a small part of that process.
Mike Williams says, I have exactly the same social anxiety about such events. I try to remember the mantra my dear departed granddad told me years ago. Today is the tomorrow you worried about yesterday. Yeah, it's very, very, very good way of putting it. And Dave says, I thought you looked the most relaxed I'd seen you since 2019, Drew. I will echo that, because yes, you certainly, it was good to see you. Sorry, coughs. It was good to see you just enjoying yourself, and I know that you've kind of like, you didn't want to do the last 2 years, which was fair enough. But I actually think that the it could have been the fun you saw Spence and I having last year was the catalyst for you to go, yeah, I want to.
Yeah,
that.
I'm still glad I left it until this year.
Mhm.
Overall, I'm still glad I left it until this year. But that said, I'm very glad I went, and yeah, I just had the best time. I had an absolutely brilliant time, and look forward to next year.
Yeah. John Huston says, IPMS Club and SIG leaders meeting on the Saturday. IPMS informed us that the attendance is at pre-COVID levels and society now has 5,000 plus members, making IPMS UK the largest in the world. Wow. There we go. IPMS UK is the largest branch in the world, apparently. Excellent stuff. Excellent. Right. So yes, so back to the Sunday. There's yours truly, working away on, what was I building there? I think I was
the house, wasn't it? That was a
yes,
Panzer one or whatever it was.
Yes, it is it's the Panzer one, and there we are still beavering away. God, it was great though, wasn't it, Drew?
It was really good fun.
Then over the weekend, you mentioned it, the goodies turned up. Not sadly Tim Brooke Taylor, Graham Garden, and Bill Oddie, but
Giant Cat.
But this was our good friend Mr. Dougal McWoogle with some goodies he got. It was the biscuits, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, and also these splendid patches that he had made, which say bear with scrolls down, or alternatively scrolls down bear with. So absolutely brilliant. I do declare it was Agent Fleming who graced us with some tunnocks.
Specifically, he graced us with some dark chocolate tunnocks.
Dark chocolate, well, tunnock biscuits and the tunnock tea
Tunnock's
cake.
wafers and tea cakes, all dark chocolate.
All dark chocolate, which I got to say are delicious. And I don't know how it happened, Drew, but they all ended up coming home with me.
I know we're going to have words about that, Mark.
But they're currently in the kitchen, in the Christmas cupboard. And when you come up for Christmas, they'll be there waiting for you. So there we go. So big thank you to Dave. Big thank you to Dougal McWoogle. Also a shout out to viewer David, who graced us with some Canterbury ales. I went home with the wife of Bath. Also went home with a bottle of beer as well. Hey,
boom, boom.
I do declare. Which one did you bag?
I think I've got the one that's on the left there.
You could just say the colour.
The blue one.
The blue one, right? The silver one. Canterbury ales. David also gave us these Mark Spencer's biscuits, the amarettis. Sorry, Spence, you didn't claim them at the end of the weekend, so they came home with me. Drew, you forgot to claim your cake, so again that came home with me, as did the tasty sticks for our collective cats.
Yes.
So a big thank you, viewer David, for that. And I think it was viewer David also. Was it Dougal or David did the badges for us? Memory problems. We've got some new badges anyway. I think this is Dougal. So we've got some new badges that say scrolls down, bear with. Yeah, it's Dougal. So we might do a little competition in the run up to Christmas, and we might give away a couple of these splendid badges along with.
I think we should. I think we should. Look, I'm wearing one now. Look,
you are.
I'm wearing one now.
Yeah, I'm not. Oddly, it's still on my waistcoat. That's why.
Yes. They're beautiful little badges as well, aren't they?
Yeah, but those ginger biscuits, Drew. Do you want to talk about the ginger biscuits?
It was. Who was it? It was Mr. and Mrs.
It was Mike and Penn Richardson.
That was it.
That's
it. They bought some. Mike is addicted to baking, and he's been trying to perfect the ginger nuts biscuit over the last few years. and I think it's safe to say perfection has been reached and surpassed.
Yep.
The nicest ginger nut biscuit I've ever tasted in my life, and I spent the last 2 weeks slowly eating them here.
Oh, they left.
Trust me, they came home with me. They came home with me, but they were just spectacular. They were like it was like a wine tasting, wasn't it? When you're giving people one, and they were like, how can a ginger nut be anything special? And then you gave them one, and you could see people start chewing, and then they'd stop chewing, and then their eyes would start going wide because it had because it had proper ginger in it, and that this kind of ginger sensation. It started off just a little bit sweet, then this ginger sensation kind of built over about 90 seconds, didn't it, into quite a spicy ginger.
It's
burning.
kind of difficult to explain because it was probably the closest you and I'll ever get to a religious experience, because it really was. You come out, you started eating them, and you think to yourself, oh well, it's a ginger biscuit, and like I say, then that heat came in, and it's like, oh god, this is really kind of spicy, but that heat kind of like peaked at just the right moment.
Yeah, and then it tailed off, and you were left with this lovely sort of caramel kind of aftertasting. Yeah. It's like Anne Marie there was saying, he had perfected the ginger nut, but it was particular. I watched Anne Marie eat one, and like I say, her eyes just went wide after about 15 seconds, and it was like one of this. Oh my lord, this is like.
And Spencer as well. Spencer was.
And the thing was, it was so good that you only wanted one at a time.
Yes.
It wasn't the sort of thing where you wanted to sit down with a cup of tea and eat like half a packet of them. You wanted one with a cup of tea, because to have another one immediately would just spoil it. Yeah. It would, so it was just like one, and then I'll have another one with my next cup of tea. But they were, and it was a texture and the color and everything as well, wasn't it? It was like everything about it was perfect. I believe he measures each biscuit out by weight, so they're all exactly the same size. They're all done on the same rack in the oven. All of this sort of stuff, just spectacular.
They were perfect, and we've got some comments here. Mike Williams says, I see a popular sidetrack, the Interesting Biscuit Company. Dave Fleming says the Great British Biscuit Company, and Simon Lewis says the Interesting Cake Testing Company. Well, we're up for all of that.
Mike Williams there saying, I see a popular sidetrack, the Interesting Biscuit Company. Well, come on, Mike. Helen's not exactly a slouch in the cake department, is she? And then you never come anymore and bring us cakes. So just think on, young man.
Yes, think about what you've just said.
Yeah, just think about what you teased us with.
Yeah. So we're coming up towards the end of the weekend, and there we are. That's the three amigos. It's like the worst Rush covers band ever. But look, there's you and Spence, happy little bunnies with your goodies. And
yes, a profound thanks to but Jim Clark for bringing it over. And Mike Reeves for procuring for us. Very, very much appreciated, Mike and Jim. It was great. We had like goodies runners from the United States for us, didn't we? And other offers as well. People were actually offering to bring stuff over for us, because I know that Lee Cole was there with Roy over the weekend. He'd offered to bring the decals and stuff over as well. It was like, oh, thanks, Lee, but we've already sorted it. See, Mike, there's just no need for that kind of.
Oh, what's he saying?
There's just no need for that kind of foulness, is there? He's talking cinnamon swirls.
Oh, goodness me. Well, not. Come on, let's keep it PG.
Yeah,
PG
come on, Mike. There's no need for that.
Helen does indeed make the best cinnamon whirls I've ever had. Well, we can only take your word for that, Michael. We're going to have to. We need evidence. Right, Drew. I'm looking for me dinger.
Your dinner.
Me dinger. Me little dinger's gone missing. Oh, for goodness sake. It was here on the bench. Me bell. Oh, over this side. So, shall we talk projects before we doing any?
Yeah, we can. I mean, to be honest, I haven't really. I think most people have seen the. Most people have seen the. Most people
This
have
is
seen
you
the
building
F111.
F111s in between other projects, isn't it?
Yeah, this is what I call this is the one I'm calling the accidental aardvark, because it was really just as I got the kit out of the box just to experiment, just to have something to test the wings I was designing against,
Mm-hmm.
and then it kind of took a life of its own on, and here we are a few weeks later with a Hasegawa aardvark, with a set of my 3D printed wings used on it to show them packed away.
Because the reason you've done that is because the Hasegawa F111s, when they came out, checks notes over 35 years ago, they were originally well known for having all the wings in the forward position, but with all the slats and flaps separate. If you want to build it like that, it's a lot of work, isn't it?
It's one of my favourite models of all time. It's a beautiful model. I've built it many times, and most of the times I've had to pack the wings away myself, which isn't. It's not impossible, but it is a challenge, and it can be done really, really nicely. But I just thought, as I'm getting into 3D, I've been doing 3D printing for a while and on my own CAD design. I thought, let's just see how difficult it is to design and print my own wings, all packed away. So I have to say, I've put quite a lot of hours into it. It's probably about 30 or 40 hours into designing those wings. But now they've come out, they're done. And if I want to do them again on any F111s, I'm good to go. I can just print a set of wings, and go. I'm just looking behind me, so yeah. So yeah, there was that. So that's what I've finished. And then since I've got back from Telford, I haven't really been doing any modelling as such. And then this week I was sort of like thinking about doing the long span wings for the F111. But the F111 projects I've got, the long span F111 wing projects I've got, need the wings forward anyway, because I'm going to be doing stuff like mounting these SRAMs on them. And stuff like that. But this week I sat down and I thought, you know what, let's knock the let's get the long wings designed as well. So I designed the long packed away wings this week, and here's a set that I've printed out and painted up in all the different schemes for long span wings. So that's the F111B, the naval variant. That's the original PSYOP scheme. That's an Australian F111C, and that's the late SAC PSYOP 2 scheme. So yeah, I sat down this week and worked and designed the long wings as well, which took more work than I was expecting. I thought it was just going to be extending the tips and detailing, but it actually ended up being a bit more involved than that.
Philip Jones asks, are you thinking of selling these, Drew?
The short span ones will be going on sale fairly shortly through Mike at Phase Hanger Resin. Mike picked them up, said he'd like to offer them for sale, so he's got those. The long span wings I've just completed. I haven't spoken to Mike about them yet, to be fair. Obviously, if he wants them, he's more than welcome to have them and offer them for sale as well. But I really do. I like the naval one.
Do you know what? If I'm going to build an F111, I want to build an F111B. I want to build it in that naval scheme. Because...
So people saw me doing that, and then the other thing I've been doing that people have been paying attention to a little bit was I designed a new F111B nose cone to modify the Hasegawa kit into an F111, the early naval variant. So that's the other thing I've been working on, so I can do an F111B at some point, because the existing conversion set isn't that great around the nose, so I thought I'd start afresh and design it using Tommy Thomason's drawings. and and this is where we've got. So you've got that you know, that really short. There you go. See how much smaller it is than the Air Force variant. So yeah, really, since I got back from, so there's some of the bits for a naval one at some point. So yeah, since I've got back from Telford, I've really been messing around with these bits rather than doing any serious modelling. So yeah, that's been my projects.
Well, we've got a couple of images to show here. I'm just going to share a screen because that I've always wanted to build, not that kit, but I've always wanted to build that aircraft. I just think those F-111Bs in that Navy scheme just look, they look fabulous, don't they? So yeah, so as and when you get round to doing the B set, Drew, I'll take one off of you and build my first ever F-111. He said quietly.
Yeah, I need to complete the bits like the hook and pylons and things like that to enable the F-111B to be done from. I think you would probably, you'd need the Hazigar F-111C kit because you need the triple plow one intakes,
right,
and stuff like that. So it's basically F-111A air intakes and things like that, and long span wings. So yeah, you'd need the Australian boxing to do an F-111B. But yeah, it's like I say again, it's another working. Yeah, all that, Chris. I'll be designing a nose gear strut and stuff like that. In fact, the plan is to design an entire new
kit,
nose bay, and landing and nose gear strut. So yeah, that would be the plan for that. So thanks to Jeff Barker of These Parts for selling me the F-111C kit at Telford, along with the Pete's hanger conversion for the F-111B, which has just been used as a template to design my one from.
We got this photograph was sent through just now by Mr. Ian Hartup. Oh my goodness me! Look at those F-35Cs.
Yeah.
It just you're right. They do look rusty, don't they?
Yeah.
Goodness me. Yeah. So
yeah, Jeff. Probably if people were happy to do the closed up wing, an A model would do. Yeah, it would do fine. I'm just thinking, like, again, when I do mine, I want to have the wings forward because I want to have it with a full load of Phoenix, and you can't have the wings swept right back if you got all the Phoenix on there because they would hit the inner pylons would the Phoenix would hit the fuselage side. So yeah,
right, here we go. Any other business?
Not from me, no. I think we're done.
We're done.
Nice. It had to wait a couple of weeks. The debrief had to wait a couple of weeks, but we got there in the end. Mike Williams there, the F-111 being a what if US Navy scheme would be cool. Yeah, the problem is, Mike, the actual production F-111B was quite different again. It had a longer nose, not as long as the Air Force nose, but it had a raised canopy, cockpit, and a different nose as well. So it would have been that's another project altogether at some point. So the prototypes, the early prototypes like this, were really just early prototypes. They weren't intended as production variants.
I'm just going to go to my desk cam here because I have been. One of the things we've got coming up in the next week or so. In fact, this time next week, Drew, we'll be in a completely different month. In fact, we'll be right the end of the year-ish. So what we've got planned for next month is Clear the December, or the December. It works better as a visual gag than trying to read it out. But anyway, essentially, December is going to be that month where we try and clear as many of the stalled projects as we can, get them over the finish line. So what I've got here is my little Hella Suma that I built, excuse me, as a test rig for the AK reel markers. So we've got the decals on it now. I've given it a good blast of matte varnish, and the one thing I did do today was also give it an airbrush filter of some sand, just to start putting down like a weathering layer for it. So this will start to get properly weathered up a bit. But I just wanted to record some photographs of it in its kind of basic raw state, with, just to show them the markers in action. In fact, I think I used 3 different markers on this. The tan color was airbrushed on, but the green, the color for the exhausts and the tracks, and even the metallic bits on the track links, they were all done with the real markers. So that's that. So we're going to get that one finished for December. Also started this one at Telford last year, which is the beautiful little Tamiya 48 scale M8 howitzer. I don't know why this one's stalled, but anyway, we've got the decals on it. And again,
it looks like an egg kit, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. It's a fabulous vehicle, though. But again, use the AK markers for the stowage, and yeah, so that's heading towards the finish line. Also started, goodness me, 5 years ago, was this Dragon armored Jeep, and it's been sat in the workshop these last 5 years, taunting me. So what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to get all the detail painting done, but then I'm going to give it a good blast of hairspray, and I'm actually going to put a winter whitewash finish on it, because in Chris Ellis's How to Go Plastic Modeling, one of the models in the photographic section, I think it's a monogram 32nd scale Jeep with these armored screens on it, which he converted, and in a winter whitewash scheme. So I thought, okay, we're gonna go that route. And then obviously, let's zoom out a bit, I'm still working on this, of which everything is now covered in Tamiya fine grey primer, so we can get round to putting some Panzer grey on that. Also paint the figure as well. All the tracks have been done in a kind of like a semi-constructed phase, so that all I have to do is, once they've been painted and weathered, is I can just pop them on the end, and that's it. So in theory, I've never got that to work, but in theory, so that's essentially it, really.
Indeed.
Indeed. We had a good time, though, didn't we, Drew?
I had the best time. Yeah, absolutely had the best time. And I can't overstress how good a time I had. It was really, really good to be back.
No, well, it was good to have you back.
And thanks to everybody who took the time to come and speak to us over the weekend. It was. Although, could I make a request to people in future? Please introduce yourselves.
Yeah.
I think some people forget that whilst they see our faces every week, we never see theirs.
Mm-hmm.
And quite a lot of people are introducing themselves by their name, but that's not their screen name. And we're like, who are you?
No,
we're not being rude.
Just to play catch up. Jeff Baker says, "What about the Nelson?" Yeah, I was given some shop damaged Tamiya ship kits, so I started building the HMS Nelson, which it's just over that side of the workbench. I've also got one of the other things that I should be building in the new year, because I'm going to try and keep Christmas clear for doing, for finishing off projects and other things. And it's the BMAX. Sorry, it scrolls down. Bear with. Scrolls down. It's the BMAX. So I haven't got this prepared. Oh, goodness me. It's a BMAX Formula One car. I'll tell you exactly which one it is in a second. It is the BMAX McLaren MP4/2B, or not 2B. So that is on my schedule for building at some stage. Just pulling up the image. There we go. So that'll probably start doing that one in the new year. But yeah, definitely next month is going to be clear the decks December. So yeah, get all those unfinished projects over the line, and then we can start 2025 with a clean slate. 2025, Drew. It doesn't seem possible. Does it?
Yeah. All right. Moving on. Scrolls down.
Scrolls down. On that note, then, I'd just like to say a big thank you to Drew for joining us this evening. A big thank you to everybody else who has also signed on tonight to watch this. We are, like I say, next month we will be running Clear the December. Got to try and figure out a way of pronouncing that. But
I like December.
Clear the December. Yeah, that kind of works. Also, a reminder that are you around next Sunday, Drew, or you still be in Scotland?
I'm coming back from Scotland over Saturday and Sunday, so I don't know is the answer.
Okay. Because next Sunday, ladies and gentlemen, it's the Sunday Advent service. Yes, Sunday, December the 1st. It's the first of our Christmas shows. So yeah, exactly. So on that note, Drew's taunting me with his Scotch tonight because I'm just about to go and do ghost stories. So nice bit of coffee stout from Aldi and some Arbracken from Lidl. So it's a German supermarket one too. So on that note, a big thank you to everybody. We might do another Telford catch-up show as well. Just the
I think there's still stuff to talk about.
Yeah, there is
regarding
still stragglers
regarding Telford.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Until the next time, as always, thank you for watching. Stay safe, stay out of trouble, and we'll see you all very, very soon. So
see you next week.
Slange Bye. Bye for now. Oh, we've lost the end credit.
Oh, hello.
Yeah.